Good afternoon. If you're joining us a bit early, we'll be live at 12:30 sharp with today's Parks Alliance read-along featuring children's book author Katharine Norris. Welcome to another week of Parks Alliance read-alongs. I'm joining you here with my colleague Lula DeFersha here for the Philadelphia Parks Alliance. She's our campaign director, and today, this week, we're back with local children's book authors. How are you, Lula?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was nice. It was good. God, it was both relaxing and busy.
Relaxing and busy. I feel like that's the theme of the past couple of months.
Definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, same here. Pretty relaxing and busy. Always looking forward to. I don't know. All the days are just starting to mesh in. So it's like Monday through Sunday. You don't even really. Transition from Friday to Saturday, but it's the same day. So, but all in all, good.
Today doesn't really have a Monday feel to it, and I guess that's maybe a good thing, maybe not. I'm not sure.
There was this one meme on the internet. Obviously, the guy moved from one couch to the other couch. Like Monday through Friday was like one cushion was like his workstation, the next cushion was his weekend. So I thought it was pretty funny.
Cool. Well, would you like to tell the folks about our Parks and Rec defense team?
Yes. So, hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is our third week of our read-along. We are super excited today. We have a special guest. Last week, we had all the state representatives reading our children's book. This week, we're back to our local authors, and we have a special local author today, Katharine Norris, Dr. Norris. And we're super excited to have her here. But before we get started, we'll bring her on in about a few seconds or so. I want to talk to you guys about the Parks Alliance Defense Team. If you're interested in signing up, you can go to our website, which is, you can see in the banner, www.philipparks.org. And you will see the first thing that'll come up on our homepage is two things that will come up. Sign up for the petition to support more funding for Parks and Recreation. When you click on it, you'll be able to contribute your name saying we need more funding for our Parks and Recreation. Also, the other thing is if you're interested in being part of our volunteer group, you can join our Parks and Rec Defense Team. Provide your information like your phone number and email address and your name. You'll be part of our bigger initiative, being part of our advocacy group, and learn about budgeting, learn about how to advocate for your parks and recreation centers in your community. And we do other initiatives as well as they come along. So you'll be on our mailing list and also phone call list. So please sign up by going to our website. So we're super excited that you are here. Happy Monday. We're going to get started shortly. Steve, anything else that you can add?
Well, just like we always want to remind you to share. So if you click on sharing is caring, so please do click that share button, and you can let your network know that we're live and you're watching, and they can join us too, and they can also watch the recording. So if you want to do that, you can also let us know where you are watching right now. So we're going to just.
Oh, we have a couple of people typing already. That's awesome.
Yeah, great. We can also share a few of those comments. We actually had a number of comments before the show, which was really exciting to see people getting so excited before we're even online here. So we're really excited from Louisa here, who has had a nice comment there too. And we know that some other people we had over at least 10 shares before the broadcast even started. So Robin was one of those people who is sharing, and we've got a nice shout out here as to cheer from Desiree. And we know a lot of people are looking forward to this great broadcast, and we'll continue to share afterwards where people are from. Let's check a few other people here. We have Maureen checking in from Kansas. We have Alex here, our executive director from his house in King Sessing. We also have folks checking in from Coatesville as well. So we'll also come back and we will come back after the show, and we'll continue sharing. Well, we're going to take these off the screen when we have our author on, but you continue to share where you are, and we come back at the end. We'll give you a shout out if you let us know where you're watching. So
should we bring in a special guest?
I think it's time to bring her on. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You got it?
There we go. Yay.
Hi, Dr. Norris. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Hi, Philadelphia.
There you go. Well, we have a lot of people commenting already, so we're super excited. They're excited to see you and read.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to pop back into our broadcast studio, our virtual studio, so I can take a look at who's commenting and check and engage on Facebook. So you guys chat, and I'll see you after the reading.
All right. Thanks. So we are super excited to have you here. This is our third week of our read along, and you have so many different layers to you. And before you get started reading your book, I thought we chat for a little bit and talk about your background, who you are, how you came about writing your book, and just more so your background of education. You have been in education for so many different years, from teaching in the in the school district, to now being a professor at Westchester University, graduated from Westchester University, got your master's degree from St. Joe's University, and also attended Temple University. And now you're a professor teaching education. So from undergraduate to graduate to doctoral students. We just want to know about you and how important education is, and also your book.
Yeah. So first of all, let me say thank you for having me here today. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for Philadelphia Parks for even doing something like this, because I think it's really important for us to begin to engage children at a very young age and to teach them about literacy and to allow them to see what is the process of becoming an author and what is it like and all those things. So thank you so much for Philadelphia Parks for doing this really, really important work. The second thing that I want to say is Philadelphia is my absolute favorite city in the whole world. Now, I no longer live in Philadelphia, but I always consider Philadelphia home. Even though I'm living in Delaware, I'm excited to be in Delaware and I love Delaware, but whenever somebody says, "Where are you from?" I always say Philly.
You're not that far from us, so we're excited to have you.
Yes. So I'll tell you just a little bit about me. So I've always known that I wanted to teach ever since the first day of kindergarten. When I walked into the classroom, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. That was something that I always known. So that becoming an author is something that came to me secondhand. So it's my second career. But I enjoy it just as much as I enjoy teaching. I started off writing academic writing. So I have academic articles in journals. That's something that we do as professors. But, and I even have a textbook, and that's something that, we do on that level. But I always wanted to be a children's author. Since I started writing. So I started and I wrote my first children's book. This is not my last. I have a couple more that are in the queue waiting to be published. So I'm excited about those, but I'm excited to be here today.
Tell us the inspiration behind your book.
I'm sorry?
Tell us the inspiration behind your book.
Yes. So I have to say that the inspiration behind my book, it is actually autobiographical.
Okay.
So the story is about my family, and it's about me, and it's about my wonderful sons. So that was the inspiration behind it. I think that all children should be able to see themselves in a book. And I think that there are some gaps in those books that are in the library. So there are some stories that are just not told. So whenever you think about things like adoption and you want to go to the bookstore and you want to get a book about adoption, it's always someone adopting a little baby, right? So it's always a mommy and a daddy, and or sometimes even two moms or two dads, but they're always adopting a baby. So I felt like we needed a really good story about a child who came a little later in the family. And so that's what this story is about.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to hear about it. And that's definitely something different. I don't think I've ever heard a book of that sort. So that's special myself. So it looks like we have a lot of audience. So how about we get started in your read?
Okay.
All right.
So before we read, I do want to talk a little bit about this idea of, I have a lot of people who come to me and say, how did you become an author, or how did you write this book? So I do want to start with a little bit of advice for those youngsters, especially those little kids, but even maybe people that are a little older, or maybe adults that are finishing their career.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about what it is and what recommendations that I have for them, and then I'll go right into the story.
Yes.
So there are just two things that I would recommend, and this is whether you're 4 years old, or whether you're in kindergarten, or whether you are an adult. The first thing is to read lots of books every day, and the second thing is to write every day, because anything that you practice at, you get better at, right? So if it's video games, or if it's basketball or football, the more you do it, the better you get. And that's the same thing with writing. So the more that you write, the better that you become at writing. And those are the two things that moved me into becoming an author. So I'm going to go right into my story.
So read and write. You got
Yes.
to start somewhere and then build up. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes.
I'm going to take myself off the screen, and I'm going to
Okay.
take over.
Okay, thank you. So this story is a special story to me because it's a story about family. And I think that families are very important, and families have always been very important to me. And I think that it's important that we know that families can start and be very different, and can look different, and can start in different ways. So this story that I'm going to read you today is called Building Brotherhood One Step at a Time. Building Brotherhood One Step at a Time. If you're in a family and you have brothers and sisters, you know that sometimes sibling relationships can be difficult, whether you are a very little kid, or whether you're a teenager, or even as an adult. Managing sibling relationships can be a challenge. So that's we're going to be talking about in our story today. So for the last couple of months, Carter came to visit every weekend. Carter would soon be my new little brother. When can Carter come to stay forever? I asked. When the time is right, he will come to stay, and we will be a forever family. After some time, Carter came to stay forever, and we were a new family. He moved into his new room, which was right next to my room. His room was painted blue, and he had glow-in-the-dark stickers on the wall, planets and stars, and a room that was just right for a new little brother. At first, it was a lot of fun. We played and we laughed. And I helped him move in his room, and Mommy let us stay up late to watch TV and to play wrestling. And sometimes I showed him how to do things like brush his hair and feed Tarzan, our pet. But soon everything changed, and having a little brother wasn't that much fun anymore. Sometimes he touches my toys when I'm not here, and he breaks them. And sometimes he follows me around when I want to be left alone. When my Grammy comes over, he sits on her lap and she makes him laugh. And that used to be my spot. Today, we had a fight. I didn't want to share my toys. I didn't want to play, and I didn't want him following me around. Leave me alone and stay out of my room, I yelled, and that made Carter cry. Mommy didn't look too happy. I thought that she would yell. I thought that she would punish us, but she didn't. Instead, she said, boys, go change into some old clothes and sneakers. So we stopped fighting, and we looked at each other, and we ran upstairs to change into our old clothes. What do you think we're going to do? Asked Carter. I don't know. Maybe we're going to be punished, I said. I grabbed my old pair of sneakers. They used to be my favorite, but now they are torn and ripped. And scrambling through my drawers, I found an old pair of sweats, and I ran to Carter's room to help him pick out some old clothes. We grabbed our jackets and we were ready to go. Come with me, Mommy said quietly. We stepped outside and Miss Elizabeth was working in the yard next door. She gave us both a really big hug. No matter how busy Miss Elizabeth was, she always stopped to give us a really big hug. We walked past the house and past the corner store to the woods and up the street. And as we walked, Mommy told us to find a really big stick. Do you think this stick is big enough? I asked. No, you need a bigger stick than that, Mommy said. We wondered what the stick was for. Pretty soon we were in the woods. Although it wasn't far from our house, it was like a whole new world there. Colorful birds were in the trees. And if you stopped and stood quietly, you could see the animals and you could hear the birds. Look, Mommy said as a rabbit scampered behind the trees. Look what I found, said Carter, holding up a really big stick. The stick was big and there was only one, so we would have to share. Finally, we arrived at the creek. The sounds of the water in the woods were all that could be heard. And Mommy and I had been to the creek before, but we had never been to the creek with a little brother. Mommy told us that we needed to cross the creek and we could step on the rocks, but we should be careful not to slip. The water was not deep, but getting across without getting wet would be tricky. The stick would help us cross. It took us a while, and carefully we stepped one stone and then the next. We leaned on the stick so we did not fall. My foot slipped into the creek. Grab the stick, Carter said. We laughed and we helped each other. And finally, we made it across the creek, one stone at a time. We were wet and we were muddy, but we were safe. And I was glad that I had a brother to help me get across the creek. As we walked back home, we talked about our adventures at the creek. Crossing the creek was fun, I said. When can we come back? Carter said. When we got home, Mommy told us to go and change and not to get any mud in the house. We stopped just outside the house, took off our muddy shoes, and we ran upstairs to get washed. Upstairs, we began to get cleaned up. I like the creek, Carter said. Being at the creek with a little brother made it a lot more fun, I said. Once we were done dressing, we raced down the stairs into the kitchen. In the kitchen, Mommy had our favorite pepperoni pizza on the table for lunch. Mommy, maybe I like having a little brother after all, I said. Mommy leaned in to give us both a hug. Things will not always be easy, but there may be hard times, but becoming brothers is like crossing a creek. You have to do it carefully, one step at a time. We started over to the table to sit and eat, and just as I was about to sit in my favorite seat, Carter rushed to sit down in the seat before I did. Mommy, I yelled. Yes, this getting used to having a little brother was going to take some time. And that's the end of our story.
Woo! Thank you so much. That was excellent. And we have a lot of comments. So we're going to go, comes back, we're going to go over that. That's amazing. I want to talk to you about just your process of writing this book.
Yes.
Just earlier you mentioned for folks who are interested in being authors, whether children or adults, like how long did it take for your book to get published, and what was that process for you in that creative mode of especially writing from your personal perspective?
Yeah, so I actually had the story because the story started off as an article in an adoptive journal. Okay. So I actually wrote it out because it's a true story from beginning to end. The only things that's changed, the names have changed around a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I started off as a in a journal, in an adoptive families journal, which I write for quite frequently. And I actually had a colleague who told me, after she read the essay, she said, "This is a children's book." And so I hadn't thought about it. And when she said that, and that was, her name was Dr. Lisa Lucas, and she told me, "You need to make this into a children's book." So that's what I did. I kind of turned it from an essay into, and it required me to make quotes and all of those kinds of things and just do a lot of editing. And then I decided to self-publish this book. Now I have two books. My first book, which is for college students and teachers, school teachers and principals. This book was actually traditionally published. So I went with a traditional publisher and I got a contract and all that kind of stuff. And the second book I did a self-publishing book. So I have a little bit of experience with both. And just, I think that the biggest thing is, if you want to write, you have to write. If you want to be good at it, you have to keep practicing and you have to do it often.
Wow. Well, that was a great message and such great delivery. And I know I learned a lot. And thank you for sharing your gift and your talents with us. Can you tell us a little bit more about, maybe if you can, your next books that are in the works and what we can look forward to?
Yes, certainly. So this book, Building Brotherhood One Step at a Time, I have a sequel to this with the same characters, and you see them getting into different scenarios together as they learn to merge and build their families. So I do have one or two of those that are in the works. And then I have another story about a new character, and her name is Katrina, and it talks all about some of the things that adventures that she goes through in her everyday life. So look, hopefully we'll see those in the next year or so.
Well, we're excited. So if people want to purchase your book, where should they go? Like Amazon? Where is it at? Where can they go?
So absolutely. So if you are interested in either book, both of the books are on Amazon.com, and you could just punch in either my name. Now there are several authors that are Katharine Norris, so you can use my middle initials, E.L. And my books will come up, or you could punch in the title of either of the books and they will come up on Amazon.com. And if you want to send me a message, you can go to Twitter, and I am Prof Norris, ProfNorris, and you can send me a message, and I'm usually pretty good about getting back to any direct messages that I get.
So for those of you who just joined us, and if you missed the reading, this is recorded, so you can watch it, reshare it, tag it again. But for Dr. Norris's social media, if you see our banner, you'll see like her Twitter handle. And also, it's just scrolling down, it's coming back. But we'll also put it in a comment section as well. And also the book name and where you can find it in the comment section, just in case you missed it. But we're so thankful for having you. We're grateful for you to share your story. And hopefully we can have you again.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for everything that you are doing for the kids in Philadelphia. I was a child in Philadelphia. I went through the Philadelphia school system, from kindergarten, public school system, from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And thank you for the work that you're doing with them.
We have a couple of comments. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. But we have a couple of comments that we would like to share with you, Steve, if you want to share.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we have Renee shouting out from West Philly. We have somebody I think you know here, Maureen Norris, who's been very active in the comments. There are a lot of great positive messages down there in support. That's fantastic. And
that's my baby sister in Kansas.
Nice.
Hi, big sister.
Greg's giving us a thumbs up there. And we want one of our very first author to read with us is Gerald Jackson, who read 2 weeks ago today. Our first time we jumped into this. Didn't know how it was going to go. It went fantastic, and he kicked us off with some great energy. And he's been coming back, and he's been sharing and commenting and joining us, and we really appreciate that continued support, Jill. That's awesome. And you can go to our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Philadelphia Parks Alliance, and we'll pop right up. And then you'll be able to go to our channel and subscribe. You can watch Gerald's, and you can watch this one on YouTube, and you can watch all of our other broadcasts on YouTube. It's a lot easier to find them there, though they'll be on Facebook too, but it's easier to find on YouTube because that's kind of what they do. And let's do a couple other ones here. Let's see.
I'm giving a shout out as well.
One, Jocelyn.
There you go. And we have, let's see who else we have. Definitely sister, education is key. We have this is our intern Jack, who's saying hi from North Philly. He's prepared a bunch of great activities you can find on our social media accounts too.
Yes. The last question, I think that's a great question. Maybe we can close it out with, how did your sons react to the book?
I was a little bit nervous about them with the book, but they absolutely love it. And I even asked them today, are you going to have an issue with me coming on to this and reading? And they were like, absolutely not. They said, do it and share. And they were excited about it. So thank you, Tanya from Coatesville.
Yeah, hi, Coatesville. Thank you for the question. I was thinking about that as well. Westchester, there you go.
Yes, Dr. Adara. Hi, Dr. Adara. So,
well, we're grateful. So if you want to watch the this reading and all the past 2 weeks readings, you can go to our YouTube page. We'll post the link in the comment section as well. Tomorrow we're back at 5 p.m. for another reading. So we'll provide that information sooner than later. So we hope that you join us again. Again, Dr. Norris, we're so happy, and you were a pleasure to have. And thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and read your story. And yeah, we're so happy.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone.
Have fun. Have a great day.
All right, bye-bye.